Hello and welcome to my Woolly PhD, episode number 56. My name's Liz Scarf and this is a weekly vlog about what I am currently thinking about, learning and making in my anthropology PhD all about wool here in Iceland. And I'm just going to show you what's going on here. I'm being mobbed by pigs who are acting like I didn't just feed them. And really wanted to get them in more. I'm trying to get this computer and they're a little, no, stop it, you. So, I don't know what I was thinking the computer would work out here. Anyway, they get a little interested and then they just kind of trot off again. So we can get to talking about the tourist gaze and the travel glands. And when they come back and get excited and interested again, I can show you them again. So, they're so distracting. I just maybe should tell you a bit about them. So for those who've been following along on the vlog for a while, you know, last year when I was here, I was taking care of pigs in the final couple of months of their growing on period. So then they went to slaughter and that was a lot of joy. And so when I came this year, and at the start of that process, so a couple of weeks, it's like a week and it's been a long week. I think only a week ago, we went and picked these little ladies up from the pig farm where they were bred, and they'd lived inside all their lives. So they're about 2 months old when we got them. And so I thought it was maybe their best day ever when they got out here into this little pen, and they've got a really lovely undercover shelter area, but they had this pen made of all these pallets. So they were, as stressed as they would be because change, but they had a lovely time. But then last night, we actually finally could let them out into the bigger sort of paddock area that they've got, because they had to get trained for responding to electric fences, because apparently if pigs just encounter an electric fence, they'll try to go through it. So we had to put an electric fence line up inside the wooden pallets so that after they knew about the wooden pallets, that they couldn't go through them, and then the electric fence, and they would know to jump back from the electric fence rather than try to push through. So they had a couple of days of training of this. It's unpleasant. But for a greater cause of being able to get out into the big paddock anyway, they have been so full of themselves and full of joy and just running around, having the best time. It's been so lovely. We all came down to do it yesterday. It wasn't a 4-person job, but we all wanted to sort of see them going out and having a good time. Anyway, so they... just, I don't know if you can see on the end there. Oh, I think it stopped. This one just rolled over in the grass and started rubbing its body and rolling on its back. Very cute. Anyway, they're all over there because I have sprinkled some food out into the ground for them, because that's how they eat, is on the ground. And there's buckets here, but if there's only 5 buckets, there's 18 pigs, and they'll kind of fight or squabble over food when they're in smaller containers. So I put them out in the paddock in the sort of areas we really want them to work and dig up, and then also in the buckets, so they've got a few different options, and it makes them very happy pigs, I think. Anyway, I come out here and sit with them sometimes, and they chew on my gumboots, and some of them are getting a bit boisterous about that. So we'll see. They'll probably come back at some point, and we can enjoy that. This group's name theme. Last year it was all the Bellas. This time it's all the different foods we make from pigs. So we've got maple bacon, we've got bacon bits. And then I stopped there because I was like, bacon bits? How do you get any better? Anyway, made me laugh a lot. So, but this week, so I missed last week's video because I've been working on a seminar that I delivered at the University of Iceland just Friday gone, 2 days ago. And so it was all a bit too much to try to get a video happening as well. And I was partway through thinking about this thing. It's still, of course, thoughts in progress, or learning in progress. But I've been thinking about, and this topic was a few things different intersecting, right? So one is about the role of bucolic landscapes in Iceland. So bucolic is kind of like this country ideal. a romanticised version of country life, and like you can imagine cute, beautiful white ducks walking down a country lane. This is kind of bucolic, right? Now, bucolic landscapes have a role in tourism, particularly. In many, let's say, social contexts. But there's also, at the intersection of these landscapes and then the aesthetic labour that farmers are doing to maintain these rural ideals, and then how this is already changing and will change as the financial support systems in agriculture sort of change, which they will be doing in the not too distant future. There's plans to change them, and how that's going to play out, I'm not entirely sure. So for tourism in Iceland, it's primarily a road trip destination, not a pig visiting destination. I wish it's marketable though, I've got to say, they're so cute. Anyway, it's a road trip destination. They're the big nature sites that you come visit, right? There's volcanoes, glaciers, the highlands, and what's the other thing? I guess, anyway, there's kind of like big four. Anyway, and you drive to get to most of them. Well, you mostly drive. Some people will go in tour buses, but they're still in vehicles on roads. Mostly. Some people might do flights, but it's mostly road trips, right? And traditionally, tourism studies have focused on destinations, so what's happening at a site of interest. And one popular theory used to explore this is what's called the tourist gaze, which is coined by a sociologist called John, I'm not sure how to say his last name, Uri, it's U-R-R-Y. The tourist gaze is used to sort of describe the visual consumption of landscapes, or landscape experiences by tourists, right? So, and then how this then shapes the landscapes and the peoples associated with those landscapes, right? That the notion is that the tourist gaze isn't passive. It works and it directs how places are presented, the forms of interaction that happens there, how movement happens there, the storytelling that happens about and in a place, also the facilities, a whole range of things, right? The tourist gaze is not a passive thing that just comes and looks at a place as it naturally exists, as if the tourists weren't there. The tourist gaze is shaping the place, particularly in places that experience hypertourism like Iceland does. And just a quick stat, I think they get 25 million, no, that's not right, 2.5 million visitors a year. The human population here is about 400,000, so it's massive, right? So and this is traditionally how tourism studies have focused, is on these destinations. And in the last couple of decades, there's also an emergence of interest in the in-between places. Now in Iceland, we tend to expect a rural ideal between places, these bucolic landscapes, the shaggy sheep and horses in fields kind of thing. It's a common expectation. Oh, here we go. Hello. No, you can't have that. I reckon they're going to start trying to eat my backpack off my back. I had to put it on my back because they were trying to eat it on the ground. Put a boot out and we'll... Oi! Hang on, you. Hi. That's maple bacon, actually. Oh, no, it's not. No, it's not. Maple bacon's almost twin. Oh, here we go. Hello. Boop. Boop. Hello. No, you can't eat it. Hi. No. You can smell it. You want a little head rub? Yeah. Okay, here's the boot eating. No, I know what you're doing. You're going to bite my leg. No. See, it's kind of cute at this age, and then I'm wondering, am I going to create little monsters when they're bigger? Oi! Okay, we may have to evacuate the field shortly, but let's see how we go. Go off and do something else. Oh my God. they want pats. Some of them are rubbing up against my boot now. Hello? Ah! Okay, I might have to pause the video. Stop it. Stop it. If I just stand up, they'll go on. No, go away. If you know anything about pig handling and you've got any advice, words of wisdom, please feel free to share. Trying to set good boundaries, but also be friendly. I think I will not bring my computer in too often. Hello. Hi. Okay, can I talk about... Keep going. No. It's slightly terrifying. I'm going to move to the top of the shelter. They're all going to follow me. Yes, they are. But at least I'm standing up now. Oh, no. Oh, no, apparently it's terrifying. Swarming pigs. Hello. That's enough. I really should be doing a plug for these gumboots, I have to say. I saw the brand on that TV show Alone, somebody wearing a different version of these, but they are insulated ones. My feet have never been cold in Iceland in these, and I've had a lot of pig chomping happening on the end, a little bit of sheep chomping. Sheep don't count though, they don't have any top teeth. And so far they've been amazing. They're just running around like little, like zoom. They've got pig zoomies. They go again. It's chaos. Okay. No, and then I turn my back, and honestly, they start descending. I might step out of the paddock. Okay, fine. I'm going to finish this outside the paddock. Okay, so tourist gaze. So yeah, mostly tourism studies have thought about destinations, but in more recent times they've started to think about they're all following me to the cave. Okay, it's wet here, but anyway. I get to, anytime I come out into the field, it's always a little bit chaotic, so hopefully fun to watch. Yeah, so in Iceland, right, this, as a tourist, right, you come to expect that you're going to see shaggy sheep and horses in the fields. It's a common expectation, and I know this because I interact with tourists quite a bit in my field work, and just have them in the background. And people ask about it. Where are the sheep? Why haven't I seen any? You know, at the times of the year when the sheep are in sheds because it's winter and cold. So, and there are signs on the roads, right, warning drivers to keep an eye out for the sheep on roadsides, to slow down for them. And for many Icelanders, this is like a bit of a pain, right? It's a problem. But for tourists, it's like, we are hoping to have these encounters. We want to see the sheep on the side of the road. We want to slow down. We're going to take photos out the window. We're going to get out and stop sometimes. I'm hoping one of these doesn't stick their nose on the fence and get a little zap on camera. It's not pleasant. The sound isn't pleasant. Fingers crossed. And it's not necessarily what tourists come for consciously. It's not on the list of things to tick off, but people expect it and they're disappointed when they don't get it. And it's an unplanned kind of highlight when it happens, and it's free for tourists, but it is not free for farmers, right? So just by going about their farming work, farmers are doing a lot of unpaid and unseen and unacknowledged aesthetic labour for the tourism industry. And the aesthetic has, like the rural aesthetic, has significant and measurable economic value in tourism. But it relies on these notions of traditions and traditional farming to sort of be valued by the tourist or travel glance. So that brings us to agricultural support systems in Iceland. So they're currently coupled to production, which means farmers get paid for the amount that they produce of specific products, irrelevant of what the market wants. So it's a disincentive to innovate, it's a disincentive to diversify, and it also leads to overproduction So goods being made that there isn't really a market for, but farmers will still get paid to make them or produce them. And it creates these kind of problems and other problems for the sector, but it does keep farmers somewhat doing the same old thing. So basically maintaining tradition and then essentially kind of maintaining the same landscapes. Now this is changing because the number of farms is decreasing in Iceland for a range of reasons, but the size of farms is increasing, right? So they're scaling up, and like the number of sheep farms are declining, the number of outdoor agricultural crops are declining, and the number of greenhouse crops are increasing. So we could expect the landscape to see more greenhouses and less sheep, right? And on Friday when I delivered this seminar, I was saying I have never heard a tourist talk about how great the greenhouses are. Then on Saturday, I did. But this was not a driving past, this was visiting a really cool tomato greenhouse. But anyway, so tourists aren't all just one homogenous group, obviously. There's a lot of diversity about what people are interested in. Some people come to the mill because they want to see the machines. They're not that interested in the wool, but they love machines. So, the diversity is good. But the other thing that's going to be changing is that the system of agricultural supports will change in Iceland, and they're transitioning from, I was saying before, being connected or coupled with production to being called what's called decoupled from production, and then therefore linked to land area and also linked to compliance with certain kinds of animal care standards and environmental standards. And this is going to benefit farmers in many ways, but also it will create some problems. Some farms won't be sustainable, and it'll increase land values and a whole range of things. It has problems as well. But if we were also just going to think about how is it going to change the landscape in between the major tourist sites, we could expect that of course this landscape is going to change because farming practices will change as a result. The only analysis I've seen of these potential impacts just refers to how the new support system is a modern support system, as if that's an inherently good thing, which is also kind of a criticism of Iceland as not being modern. And this is quite I don't even describe the problems of assumptions of modernity being a good thing. I mean, it's definitely got roots in colonial ideals, primitive advanced societies and things like this, so quite problematic. And so I think to frame it as Iceland getting a modern system is, I think it's a bit of a smack. Actually, I don't love that. But to also assume it's inherently good overall is, I think, a lack of analytic complexity, because it's only looking at agriculture as a closed system. So there's no reflections on the impact for Icelandic culture, because what it means to farmer to be a farmer will change, right? And the landscape will also change. So how do people feel about that in Iceland? What if actually, there's not much sheep farming that happens in Iceland anymore, right? It like massively decreases, or the way they do it. Farmers stop taking their sheep to the highlands because it's not economically viable, or 10, 20, 50 years down the track, like what is this going to look like for the culture? And also not seeing any kind of intersectional analysis between sectors, right? What is this going to mean for tourism and for tourism narratives about how Iceland is sold? And I get a sense it's probably shifting from a sort of a wild nature dominated narrative to a wellness narrative. And I have to say, my first thought about that is terrifying, that the wellness industry might kind of really come to dominate in Iceland for a few decades. Tourism has already changed the landscape here a lot from what I hear. Of course, I haven't been here until last year. And it will continue to do so, and I can't say whether it's all good or it's all bad. Of course, it's much more complex than that. There are losses and gains for Icelanders, but I get the sense that many people feel that they don't get much of a say in these changes, that everyday Icelanders aren't kind of have much influence on how tourism is being shaped and shaping the space. So that's what I've been thinking about this past couple of weeks. Look at these guys. Girls. They're all girls. They are such hard workers in the landscape. Honestly, as soon as they got out, as soon as they they just hit the ground running with this kind of rooting around and digging up the earth, which is partly what they're here for, because this is a regenerative farm. Here, don't get close to the... Oh my God, is the fence not on? Whoops. I mean, it pulses, so it's not always zapping. I'll have to test it. Anyway. I've actually had an amazing couple of weeks of baby animal encounters and stories, and I hope to be able to bring all the next videos over the next few weeks to include these. So these are the baby pigs. There's also a baby calf that I've been feeding, and he is the sweetest boy. And there's also been some baby lambs that I have been feeding, and they are lovely. And I've got one of those, there's a few now actually, but one particularly who just comes up for like scratches on the chest. Oh, so cute. Anyway, what have I been making? Not much, really. In my last video, I think I showed this wonky skein of Icelandic wool with Australian possum fibre that I had spun. It wasn't very well spun because I did it on a treadle wheel, which I have no experience with. So it was all over the place, and the plying, it was very unbalanced. So I soaked it, and then I dried it weighted down, which is bad practice, but it's just for a swatch, so it doesn't much matter. I have knitted it up. It's a little swatch, and easily how is that going to work? It's lovely. It's very soft, and it's really soft actually. So it's nice. It's a good experiment, and I'm going to do more of it when I get back home with my electric wheel. But one thing I am reflecting on is I'm regretting adding some brown fleece into this, because it makes it harder to see the possum and to really kind of discern the distribution. Because partly, really, the experiment is, can I get the possum fibre distributed with the Icelandic in a evenish kind of way, and how to do that. I put the brown in because I have no business with white wool. I'm a dark, moody colours person, and white is absolutely no interest to me. So, but it would have been good for the experiment. The only other thing I have worked on in terms of making things with wool is this sock. It's nothing pretty at the moment, and I don't have two hands to hold it up and stretch it out to make it look nice. There we go. This is the sock with pigs in the background. There's a shot. Anyway, today's Sunday. I had promised somebody to have a pair of socks for them by Tuesday, and that's not going to happen. I'll be lucky to have this one finished, but they will be understanding. Oh God, I'm getting close to the fence again, and it could be on. Maybe it's just the bottom one that's not on. Anyway, I have to... Oh God. It's such a horrible sound when they squeal. Anyway, okay. Maybe if I just... my joints just freeze up sitting on the ground in the cold. Come on, you lot. All right. So cheese for the camera. Let me see if I can show... Oh, no, that's not going to work. I think I get my buckets. Let's see if we can get some pig shots. Oh, they're off. Are you getting to see them? I can't see them. They're going to destroy the buckets. Okay, I'm going to rescue the buckets, and thanks for watching. I look forward to your thoughts on anything, but all things tourism and pigs. And no, they're going. I'm going to mic these babies up. It's so cute. Okay, hopefully see. Oh, I don't think I'll be doing a video next week because I'm taking some time off. So maybe see you in a couple of weeks. See ya. Bye.